I just can't help but bring you so much happiness and color out here in the quilting studio. And yet another wonderful quilt up here on the quilting bed. Let's go ahead and have a chat about it. Marla brought this over. She's actually going to be putting it into her local quilt show. I'm going to be doing the trimming and the binding on it. So when she gets it done, it's going to be completely finished and ready for that. And I will say, I'm very fastidious about trimming, and I do a beautiful binding by machine. So that will show up very well in her quilt show, I'm quite certain. Let's go ahead and talk about a couple of fun things on the quilt. I want to show you, I'm going to wave this out here. I'm going to show you how beautifully straight, flat, and smooth the quilt is. This is actually a mystery quilt that was made with her group, and so they had colors that they chose, and then they made flying geese, they made half-square triangles. They made diamonds, etc. in preparation for the quilt, and then put the blocks together, not knowing what you were going to end up with. So it's great. Isn't it wonderful? Wow. Look at how nice. So we actually stood back really quickly to make sure the flying geese were going the right way, that all the pinwheels were going the right way, because when you're working myopically, it's difficult sometimes to see that. And when I get the quilt finished and up on the presentation wall, sometimes I can see a little tiny mistake, and by that time we're too late. So it's good to have checked that ahead of time. All right. And if you see something, my friends, don't tell us, because we don't want to know at this point. So I just want to let you know how flat and straight and smooth it is. There are so many pieces here that are cut on the bias, between the flying geese, between the half-square triangles, between the diamonds, between the triangles themselves. You've got one or two bias edges on those, and I am just so impressed with how amazingly flat, straight, and nice it is. Let's go ahead and turn over to the back side and show you the pressing job on the back side of the front of the quilt. Always make sure that you've got your pressing excellent on the back side, pressing your pieces in the correct order, and then turn it over and press the top as well. My friends, it will make such a difference. I tell you the truth on that. I need to give her a new bobbin. I want to show you one more thing. I almost always say, what do I say about borders when you're connecting them? Do it on the diagonal. Why is that? Because your eye will move much more smoothly, except in a couple of occasions. One is when you have a very prominently printed design, where you have very prominent items on it, where you don't want these items to get mixed together by cutting at the diagonal. And the other time is when you have very geometric, very linear designs. I don't get a lot of those, but when I do, I like to make a big deal about it. And this is one of those. This is one of those borders that I would suggest cutting on the straight on. In fact, here's a piece right here. You can hardly see it. I literally marked this with a pin to remind myself this is where one of her splices is. Over here, again, I marked it with the pin when I found it, because it is so subtle, you wouldn't even know it's there if I hadn't have marked it. So those are the times when you want to be sure and do it straight on. Look at how nice and smooth that turns out. I'm going to get her a new bobbin. Take a minute to like and subscribe. Send a quilt over to Brenda's Quilting Studio. Let's have an amazing day.